All right, next up, let's do some design on your page that you've made. So here's my page, which we just went through. Hopefully you've gotten a page about this much. If you haven't done all of these different elements that I've done on this page, make sure that you do on yours as well. All right, so what we're going to do next here is we are going to create a style sheet for this document. Now the way that style sheets work is they affect HTML elements. So for example, if I want to affect paragraphs, I create a style sheet that affects paragraphs, heading ones, and so forth. Everything that I want to change the style of, that is the look and the feel, I put into a style sheet, which is a separate document. And the way that style sheets work is that you attach it as part of your head here. All right, now you can do it inline as well, but the way we're going to do it here is external style sheet. That's a single sheet that is attached to all the files on your website. It's the best way to handle that. It goes inside of the head. All right, if you are doing the HTML Dog CSS tutorial, you'll need to go a couple of pages in there. I think it's called Applying CSS. The way that this works is that we create a special tag in the head, and this tag is going to be called link. I'm going to link something to this document. The attribute of this link will have a couple of attributes. One is rel. This says the relationship that this link has. And, well, it's a style sheet. Simple as that. And then you also have href. Just like when you make a link inside of with an anchor for hypertext, you use href as well for linking other documents to your document. So the href will be whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to call this one, I don't know, mystyle.css. The .css tells the browser the type of thing that you're linking is a style sheet. Here is the name of that file, mystyle.css, and it's now going to affect everything on this page. That's all you have to do. You don't need to do end link. If you want to do this, that works too. All right, so now I've linked a style sheet to this document, but I don't have any style sheet yet. I mean, if I save it and I come out here and I refresh, it doesn't change anything yet. I need to create a style sheet. So go to File, go to New, and here it is. We're going to make a style sheet. Now your style sheet can have all kinds of different types of items. What you do is you create selectors, you create properties of those selectors, and then you give values to those different properties. So the most common thing that people will put into the first part of a CSS is body. Now notice I don't put the greater than or less than or anything else around it. I just use the actual part of the tag that is the name of the tag. So everything in the body is I'm going to affect. Now it uses curly brackets, and let me make this a little larger so you can see what I'm doing. The curly bracket is how you identify the properties and the values of the selector. Put a space in there. It's good to put spaces around the different properties. All right, so the value I'm going to put into the body here is just something real simple. I just want to make color. I want everything on here to be black. I'm just going to use the friendly name, save it, so that everything in my document is black. I can make that other colors like I just did. Green here. Boom, there it is. I notice I don't have to change anything in the HTML because we have body already in HTML. In the CSS, I say everything that was within the body tag, that's everything on this page, from there to there. Everything is going to be green in color. Pretty straightforward. I could also do something like font size. I want the fonts to be relative to the normal size. Let's make it, I don't know, 110%. I expect people who might have some vision impairments to be here. Hyphen, or refresh. So it's green. It's a little bit larger than the default font. Notice the headings get bigger as everything gets bigger. Pretty straightforward. The other thing that would be a typical sort of thing that you would affect would be P. This is everything that's in a paragraph. All right, this one I want to be black by default. And I want the font size to be, let's make that just 100%. I mean, you don't need to put 100% if that's the default anyway, but save that. And here's what happens. Notice the headings are still green. The bullet items are still green. Only the paragraphs are black. Everything inside of the table, because in your code, in the table, Right? There's no paragraphs. It's just text sitting inside of table datas and table headings. So if I want to affect those things as well, like I want to make all of the H1s be color of, what would be a good color for against the green and the black? How about just go crazy here? I'm going to make it yellow. I want I'm not going to mess the font size. I'm going to leave that 110% for the headings. In fact, I'm going to make all of the headings. So H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. Notice this is going to affect every single heading now. I just put a comma between. The same thing if I want my fonts and my paragraphs, or my fonts and my entire body to all be one font face, I would do that font hyphen family. Verdana is made for the internet. It's a good one. I could do comma. I'm going to put different types of values in here. So instead of just Verdana, I would say Verdana Arial in case someone doesn't have Verdana installed, or sans serif if they don't have either one of those. It'll just pick, the browser will pick whatever sans serif fonts. Now I come back here, I refresh. There's my headings, all yellow. The other things, you didn't notice this yet. Oh, I better close this, huh? I could mess that up if I put another value afterwards. One more value I'm going to put in the headings here. I want to put a background. Now I could do background color, or I could just say background if I want to have several values. One of the things I'm going to do for background is I want to have, what do we have? Yellow. So what would be, here, let's use a green so we have a consistent color code going on. All right, so we have our page here. Let's refresh. Oops, looks like I am. If you ever get that happening, that means you probably still have your in-page link going on. All right, there we go. We have a green background right there because I said background. And we have a yellow font. Now it's more visible, right? Now I don't really like how some of these come to the bottom. I want to have some, height beyond that. So then I can go line hyphen height, and because my fonts are 110%, I'm going to make my line height be 120%. Save it, refresh. Notice it's a little bit bigger now. What that means is how big the line is where the text sits. If I made this instead 200%, now you can really see the difference. It's twice as big as the font. All right, so there's some basic things you might put in there. Other things, anchor, right? You want to make some interesting things with anchors. By default, your links are going to be blue with an underline if they haven't been clicked. If they've been clicked, they'll be purple with an underline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want all of my anchors to be color of, let's use a consistent color here. I'm going to use yellow for the links. And I want to have a text decoration of none. What that means is it won't have an underline. I'm going to save it. Now here's what happens. Here's link here before I refresh. Now they're yellow. Wow, that's really awful, isn't it? So instead, let's make it blue. Let's save that. Here's the nice thing about saving, refreshing. Notice there's no underline. But I would like it when someone hovers to have a new thing happen. So I say a:hover. Now the color, let's put this one be yellow. And then I'm going to still have a text decoration of none. I'm just going to cheat copy this, paste that there. But I also want to have a background color. Now against that, I don't want to have green again because that's really common on this page. So I'm going to use gray. Now when I refresh, when you hover, see how it turns yellow and gets a gray background. I could also change the font size. Things like that. Well, let me warn, here's the reason you don't want to do that. Font size, let's make it, 150%, shall we? Save it. Refresh. Now look what happens. Boom, boom, boom. That will really change your page around. So I don't recommend doing a font size. You can, of course, it's fun. So we've got anchors, we've got headings, we've got paragraphs, we've got body. There's lots and lots of neat stuff that you can do to your pages. Make it look and feel a certain kind of way. Now what I'm going to do is add some layout to this page. I want to have a second page. I want to have links between them. I want to have lots of pages. It's a website, right? Oh, by the way, one thing I would like to also do with the headings is have text align to the center. Yeah, puts all my headings in the middle of the page. All right. So there's another thing that you want to do for organizing your page. Now, most of the class pages they use a table for a layout. What we are going to use is we are going to use CSS to do layout. We're going to use divs. And using the divs, we're going to make something like, well, here, let me show you what it looks like. We're going to make something like this. Notice it has a header up here, it has a couple of columns, it has center content, has a footer, has a little bottom thing, has little borders and whatnot. So let me show you how we're going to do that to this page. Divs are divisions of a page, and you set them up in where you want on the page, and the browser knows when it sees a div that that's one place it's being divided. Doesn't mean anything until you give it some sort of CSS identifiers, what's going on in that div. The body, part a little bit to make it more visible. In the body, the first thing I'm going to put in the very top of the page is I'm going to create a div. That's what it is, just div as the tag. And that's it. But you need to identify it as something for it to have any effect. So I'm going to give it a class. They are broken into different types of classes. You can do class to anything. I could get a special paragraph class of, call this normal. And then if I were to go to my CSS, the way I make that identified is I go p.normal. And here, this one, let's see, I'm just going to copy all of that. And I'm going to put it down here and then just make a couple of mods. So by default, I want my stuff to look like that. My normal, I'm going to make it, let's make it 80%. Otherwise, completely the same. I save it. Did I save this one yet? Let me make sure. Control S is the shortcut for save. Refresh. There we go. See how that got smaller, but the other paragraphs are normal? That's because I created a special class called normal. In the CSS, it's dot whatever the class is. In the HTML, you use the word class. So this first div I am creating, the div class, I'm going to call it wrapper. This is a common name for a div that wraps your page. And what I'm going to do with that wrapper div is I'm going to then bring that all the way to the bottom and div. So the page is wrapped by the wrapper div. So I've created a new div. Save. Let's go to my style sheet. And what I'm going to do is put the divs down below. So I'm going to say div dot wrapper. And the wrapper div, what I'm going to do for this one is give it some attributes. And the first thing I want to do is I want to have it be sitting a little bit farther from the side. Notice right here, it's really close. So I'm going to say, I want to say that everything in this page, I want to have an absolute position. I'll get to that in a second. Well, the next part, what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to give it a left margin of, I don't know, let's say 5%. So it's going to have an absolute position on the browser page, and it's going to be indented 5%. Let's save that and refresh. See how it bumped in a little bit? That's because of my div, my wrapper div. Other things that I might want to say, I want my page to be, by default, I want it to be a certain width. So I'm going to say width, 900. And this one I'm going to use pixels. You can use percents, but when you're making divs, percents can get really out of hand, trying to keep control of what's where. So I'm going to make my page 900 pixels wide. Everything in the wrapper div is going to be 900 pixels wide. And a pixel is just one little dot on your screen. You could make it smaller. If you go a lot bigger, you might have some difficulties with smaller screens. If you are working with portable devices, think about what would be the best way to handle that as well. Maybe you want to go smaller. Maybe you want to use percentages, but in which case we wouldn't want to make it quite as complex as what I showed you at first. So we have an indent. We have a total width of 900 pixels. I also want to give it a border. So let's just go with a border of 1 pixel. And I'm going to put a space, and I'm going to add more things to the border. I want it to be a solid border, and I want it to be gray in color. Refresh. And now we have a 900 pixel wide box. Notice how it got narrower because it went all the way to the edge for this wide text. Looks like that. So we've got those elements. One thing I would like to also have is a little bit of padding in there. And so the padding, I want to make it just 10 pixels of padding. Because notice how close it comes to the edge. So I saved it. Now I refresh. Ah, that's starting to look pretty good. So I've got a nice wrapper here. At this point, I'm going to start now adding some other elements to this page. We've got this. What I'd like to do is have a left navigation panel, have this stuff in the middle of the page, a right navigation panel, maybe some things on the bottom and whatnot as well. So let's go back to our HTML. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new div class. And this one I'm going to call header. And I call it header because I'm going to be for the heading itself. This one's going to have just the header in it. What I'm going to do is create a header. Now in the header, I'm going to have an H1, and I'm going to call this my page of awesome, since that's what I was calling it up in the title. That's all I'm going to put in to my heading. So then I'm going to say end div. So I have a new div class of header. I save it, I refresh. It's not done anything yet because I haven't created a special class over here. So I do that now. Div.header. This one, I want to have a bunch of different things that I just did in the other one there. So let's do the same thing with the border. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and steal this, copy that. Paste that there. I want to have the same border around it. I also want to have a certain kind of width. Now I want it to be the width of this box, but not quite, right? I want it to be nice to have it indented a little bit because we have, if I made it 900 pixels wide, I'll show you what happens here. Save, refresh. Well, there you go. Notice it doesn't have indent here because I didn't put the padding around it, like that. So let's do that, shall we? I'm just going to copy it from there because I'm using the same layout. Save it, refresh. Now, notice it gets wider because it is actually bigger than that. I need to add 10 pixels and 10 pixels. So let's make this 880. I save it, refresh, and now it fits inside the box. Cool. I now have a header. I can also do some other neat stuff with the heading, like I want to put a background. Let's make a gray background. Get that. Other things that I might want to put inside of there. How about, well, let's see, I guess we're good. So there we go. We've got our header. Next, I want to have a navigation panel. My HTML, what I would do is I'm going to put that as the first thing, because if I look at, say, this page here, reads top to bottom, so this is the first div, and left to right when there's more than one div lining up. Let's go over here. There's where my header div ends. So I'm going to create a new div, and this one is going to be class equal, let's just call it left. Something that's doing some navigation, so I'm going to end div here. This is my left navigation division of the page. So let's go back to our cascading style sheet. I'll just add it on top here. Okay, so my left div now is going to have a few different types of things going on. First of all, we want to have a border and stuff, and we want to have border 1 solid gray. Let's use the whole thing. And then What width do I want? Well, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and pick just sort of offhand about, let's say, 100 pixels. Let's see what we get. Yeah, so it's about that width. If your text is going to be larger than that, then you might want to make it wider. If it's going to be smaller than that, you might want to make it, narrower, whatever you'd like. So I have a left div. Now I want to have a content div that'll be in the middle. And let me just put some placeholders in there. I'm going to have a content div, and then I'm going to have a div right. Then I'm going to have a div bottom. Oh, and let's have a div footer. I'm going to have several different elements on this page. All right, now my right div, I'm going to have it look just like the left div. Probably can copy the whole thing. Come down here, paste it in. The content is the main part of the page, though. And so my content section, what I want that to be, first of all, we want to have a margin. Let's make a margin on the left, shall we? 10 pixels. Oh, typo. Make sure to correct your typos. One nice thing about Notepad++ is it'll identify when you have a typo. So I have a margin of left of 10 pixels, and next I'm going to put in a width. I'm going to need to count all this up. We're doing some arithmetic, right? We have a total of 900 right there. The wrapper is 900 pixels wide. So it needs to be 900 minus 100 minus 100. So now we have 700 minus 10 minus 10. So we have 680. And then we have minus 10 minus 10. So it'll be 660. Let's see how it's looking right now. Well, there we go. I goofed it up. So let's make sure to do borders on all these, and I can see where the problem is. So I'm going to put a border on that one. We got a border, 1 pixel solid gray. We got border, pixel solid gray, and pixel solid gray. So let's save it. Let's come back here. Let's refresh. Oh, you saw what I did, right? Didn't put these into my body yet. So there's the end of that div. I'm going to create div here, and the class for that one is going to be, I called it content, right? Now the div class for content is everything that's the center of the page here. After that, so let me save, come back here, refresh. There we go. There's that. Next one, I'm going to create that div on the right. There it is, just div.right. So before I end that div, I'm going to create a new one. And this one is class equals right. And I should probably put some content in there. Now, a good thing to put in the left content would be like navigation and stuff. Let me go ahead and just drop some of that in there right now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and just grab some content that I put into a different document. So here's my wrapper, here's my header, here is my left div. All right, right there. What I've added is a bunch of things. Right here, a couple of tabs. The tabs don't really matter, except it's helpful to sometimes look what you're doing. All right, this div is my left navigation column. I created an H4. I created a bunch of paragraphs. Each of those paragraphs have a link to our web links page, and the target is opening up in a blank window each time. And then it ends here, and then I have this other one here. I have another link. Okay, and if I tab it, it looks like that. So there's my left navigation. Let's refresh, and that's what you get. Okay, that's some big font. I might want to make it a little bit wider in my CSS, huh? So my div left, instead of being 100, let's make it 120. And the div right, Yeah, let's leave that at 100. All right, I think before I go farther, I should see why I'm getting this. I think it's because I didn't create a standard div. This one is just going to be a regular div. This is going to affect all the divs. What are things I'm putting in all of these? You know, I am doing padding of 10 pixels in all of them, right? And I'm also doing this border. Oh, here, I better close this so I can see what I'm doing. I'm doing this border, this padding, so I can actually delete that from all my other ones because they all have div class. So I can get rid of all borders. I can get rid of borders. It's not really hurting anything to have those duplicated in there, but if I wanted to change things later, right? Now, there we go. Now I've got boxes around everything. But I want to put this content thing in the middle. I don't have a float going on here. So what this is going to do is float to the left. Stuff floats to the left of all the divs. All right. All right. I reordered these here. Div is the first one that affects everything. The wrapper is the one that wraps the entire page with this box. The header is the first one that shows up here. The left div is this one here. The content div is the middle one. Then there's a right div. I haven't put that one in yet. I'll put that one in here in just a second. And a bottom and a footer I haven't defined yet. So the right div, I want to put over here like, I don't know, ads or links to something else or whatnot. And that right div there, I'm going to go ahead and put, let's just, well, that's all we have, right? I think that's all we need to do. So I'm going to go back here, and after my content div, I have a right div. Now, let's put some stuff inside of that, shall we? In my right content div, I'm going to do basically what I did over on the left div and drop in some stuff. We have a heading 4, here's my div on the right. A heading 4, that is the right column, some description text for the H4. Paragraphs, and I'm creating a special class called ads for that. I better put that in, shall I? Let's go ahead and just put dot ads. Oh wait, what am I using? It's a paragraph. So I'm going to go ahead and put that next to the other paragraph so I'm consistent. There's p normal, then I have p dot ads, and I want them to show up in a certain way. So I think for the paragraphs, I want it to be a little bit smaller, and I want it to be a different color. So let's go with font size of, I think on the left side I did 80. Yeah, let's go with that 80% again. And I'm going to make it have a color of, oh, I don't know, blue, how about? Now, everything over here is going to have an effect. That class of ads is right there. The H4 is going to be affected, and it also has a div class of right, and that's this one. It's just going to be 100 pixels wide. And I refresh. Whoop, I better save. And save this. Come back here, refresh. And it's showing up down below. I need to fix that. Looks like I need to add the end div here, huh? All right. Hope you caught that before I did. There it is. Looks like there's a little bit of space in there. I want to clean that up a little bit. So my div left, I have a little space there. I'm going to give this one a margin left of 10 pixels as well. Let's save that. Let's see what we get now. No, I don't like that. How about, oops, oh, I see. I put that in the wrong one, didn't I? Save it, refresh. That's what I'm looking for. Now this is a little bit too wide. You know, I think I can probably make this a couple more pixels wide, but I also want to add one here now that I'm thinking of it. So in my content, I'm also going to add a margin left of 10 pixels. Ah, that's kind of nice. Look at that. I'm going to add about 20 more to the width of the content. Let's make that 560. Heck, let's make it 580. Here, you get the idea, right? Just keep messing with it. I think it's probably going to be 590. until you find, oops, that was it. So I'm guessing I'm sticking with 580. Now I have a cool layout. I want this to be 100% of the height here. So I think maybe the best thing to do is to just get rid of the borders around these. So I'm going to go back in, and where I have this border 1 pixel, I'm going to take that out of all divs and only put it in some, like the wrapper, the header. Well, you know what? The header doesn't need that, does it? Because it already has a gray background. I don't want the div left. I am going to put it in the div content. And maybe I'll put it down here in these guys. So I'll do that. And I'm going to put a footer down here as well that has a border. Save all these things. Now what does it look like? That's better. Now I don't have a box around these. That seems much cleaner. I want to have a little bit of a margin on top of that. So save that. Now I have a little box around my content. Seems pretty cool. Now I don't have anything down in the bottom yet, and the reason for that is I just haven't added anything down there. So for the footer, maybe what I'll do is just put in, some stuff down there, right? So I've ended my, let's see, this is the right column. I've ended the div for this. This is for the content. Here's for the right column. Here's for the wrapper. So before I end the wrapper, I'm going to create a div that is a class of, I think footer was the next one I made. And then I want to have a end div for that. And then I want to have a div class bottom. I want to end that div. The footer is a good place to put things like links to other pages, to related stories, to quotations, whatever else like that. So I have a paragraph down there. Save it, go my page, refresh. Let's go down. How does that look? There we go. There's where my footer is. Now there's nothing yet showing up here because I don't have anything yet in my bottom. The bottom div, if you're going to be using that sort of thing, would be maybe date of the last update, web designer, other things that are relevant like that. Let's refresh it. Oh, I don't have a width for that, do I? Look at how that's not showing up for the full width. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same width for these two as I have for my header. It's going to be 880, right? Because that is 10 pixels plus 10 pixels plus 880 makes 900. So there we go. I'm going to put width 880 down here for both of these. Come back, refresh. Now it has full width. Probably want to have margin on top of that as well, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and grab that from my other element up here. Put that, save it, come back. Now I probably want to have a couple of other things different for the bottom div or for the footer div or something like that. So perhaps I'll just make it have a background. How about that? Let's use the gray again. And then I want to use a font size of 60%, because everything down there is going to be smaller. Refresh. There it is. Let's do the same thing for the bottom one. Oh, looks like I've got these out of order. So you get the idea. Here's the kind of things that you can do with these. Now you've got layout. You've got a style sheet that does all of these things to your page. Obviously you can do lots of other things. If I want to have a background color to my whole page, well, what would look good against this? Well, we can use that gray again, see what we think of that. Nope, I really don't like that one. I'm going to use a background color of yellow. Also terrible, but at least it'll show you what's going on here with your page. So this makes everything in the body have a background color of yellow. things here are still showing up green because that's part of the body, and so forth. You have lots of control of these things. You can change those things however you want to make it more interesting. You can add borders, you can eliminate borders, and so forth. Notice these navigation items take you outside to the web links page. You know what? I'm also going to add navigation to other pages in my document. That means I need more pages. So, new. I'm going to create a new HTML page. This one, I am just going to steal the design from my first page because I want it to have the same look and feel as my first page. So I'm going to put all of that code here. I'm going to go through and delete the things that are not relevant, but first make sure to save it so you can see the colors. Notice it's all looking black right now. So I'm going to go save as, and this one, make sure you save it as an HTML file. And I'm going to call this one page2.htm because I already have a page 1. So this will be page 2 of awesome. Make sure your titles are relevant. Notice, same link, style sheet. Don't need to change that. Don't need to change the head besides the title. I'm going to use this same exact layout as the first one, so it's going to have a wrapper, and I'm going to give this one a different title. I'm going to have the same navigation, although I'm going to link back and forth between these two, so I'll show that in a second. And then here in my headings, that I can change however I want. So this will be different content because it's a different page, and I'm going to not have all of this because that doesn't need to be there. I'm going to save it. Refresh. I want to have a link to that page. So I go to my first page and I go to my navigation, my div class left, and the first thing I'm going to make is a new link. And this one is going to be a href equals. Because this is going within my website, I'm not going to use a target blank for this link. The link is called page2.htm. It is the name of my page 2. That's all I need to say. If they exist in the same folder, there's my page I'm working on right now, tutorial.htm. Page 2 is the one I'm linking to. There's my style sheet. All I need to do is to say that, just the name of the page. The hypertext will be go to, well, I suppose I should capitalize that, right? Go to page 2, and I end my anchor, and I end my paragraph. Save it, go to my page, refresh, go to page 2. Oh boy, that messed that up, didn't it? One way I can fix it is go to my style sheet. Let's go to my div left, here it is. I'm going to make this now a font size of, let's use 80%. Save it, come back here, refresh. Now it all fits better, doesn't it? I'm going to do the same thing with the margin right, because I kind of like that. Font size 80%. Save it, come back here, refresh. See, looking pretty good. I click page 2. Hey, look at that, there's my page 2. You can tell it's page 2 because it says my second page of awesome. I better fix it to have it go back to the first page. Again, here's another shortcut you can use. I'm just going to click this whole line, copy it, go to my page 2, go to the left after the heading. I mean, obviously you don't need to use a heading. I was just doing that because it was kind of neat to lay it out. Now it's not going to go to page 2 because that's where I am. It needs to go back to my first page, tutorial.htm. And I'm going to call that go to main page. Save, refresh. Now we have a link to my main page. There it is. Go to page 2. You have built the website. Page 2 is already styled. All you have to do is link to the same style sheet, every single page. There you go. You've now got a page with lots of layout, lots of awesome stuff going on. You've got links between pages, 2 different pages. You've got a style sheet that affects both of your pages or all of your pages when you're building your final website. Okay, next up, let's upload this stuff to the internet.